Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Regina Monique, and this is Woman of Your Word. And on this channel, I share faith-based content to help us live courageously for God. Of course, we are back today with another Bible journaling tutorial, and we're using our Illustrating Bible by Dayspring. Today, we're going to be painting. I'm using some acrylic paints, and we're going to be painting around a verse in Psalm 66 verses 5 through 7. This is our inspiration, and I pulled this inspiration from one of my absolute favorite Bible journalers here on YouTube. Her channel is called Scribbling Grace. Her name is Jenna, and she is amazing. I'll leave her channel link down below so you can check her out. But these are the colors we're going to be using today. A lot more colors than I normally have, but it's going to be really fun. So you guys know I'm going to have all the supplies linked down in the description. And yeah, let's get started. So you guys already know that I tape off my words. And so here I am adding this piece of tape so that I can separate the ocean from the sky to create the horizon line. And we're going to start off with the sky, actually, with these 5 colors: pink, red, orange, blue, and yellow. And because we're going to be doing some blending, it's helpful if I already have my paints ready to go. It's a little more difficult to blend on regular paper with acrylics than it is to blend on a canvas, something that's more porous. And that really soaks in the paint, and it dries a little less. It dries not so fast on a canvas, and so I have the paint already ready to go so that I can just blend quickly. My horizon line was crooked, so I'm kind of straightening that up a little bit. All right, so we're gonna wet our paintbrush, and we're gonna go in with the red for the base of the horizon. And this is going to be a sunrise. So with a sunrise, I've often wondered what was the difference between the colors in the sky, you know, with a sunrise or a sunset. But with a sunrise, the colors are more red and orange towards the bottom, and then they get lighter towards the top. So we're starting with that red color, and then we're going in with our orange. And you see what I mean about having the colors ready, because this is going to dry so fast on this paper that you have to move quickly. And of course this is sped up, so it looks like I'm going a lot faster than I actually was, but you do have to move fast. One of the things that does help it though is keeping that paintbrush kind of damp so that your colors blend seamlessly. That really helped to keep it, you know, wet, so that it wasn't drying fast and I wasn't just painting on top of, you know, each color, that it was actually blending in. And you'll find as you do this, like, you just have to keep blending until you get the desired color or gradient that you want. Obviously you want them to blend together, but you do want to also be able to see kind of where the last color stops and the next color, you know, begins. I had a paintbrush hair right there. That's what I'm trying to get off. But you just have to play around with it until it looks the way that you want it to look. And that's really what blending is all about. You want it to have these seamless transitions. And so that just takes a lot of just playing around with it and just adding the color until you get the desired look that you're going for. Going in with that pink after that yellow was really hard. I kept feeling like I was losing the yellow. It was coming out more orange because pink and yellow makes orange, but I had already had orange. So again, you just have to keep putting the colors down until you get it to look the way you want. So I'm going back down to the bottom with the red and the orange, working my way back up. It seems tedious, but it does work. And the more you do it, the more you kind of get used to it, and you actually get better at it. So now you can kind of see that pink and a little bit of that yellow coming through right above that orange. This with this blue and this pink was probably the most difficult. And I didn't really use that much blue because I didn't want the sky to be like all the way blue. Like I didn't want a lot of blue because it's a sunrise. Like I felt like if I had to use too much blue, I don't know, it wouldn't have given the effect that I wanted it to give. This is like the beginning of the sun coming up. So yeah, I just used a little bit of blue, but blending that pink and that blue, I had a little bit of trouble with trying to get those two to blend together because they're not related. The colors are not related, if that makes any sense. Like there's no similarities with pink and blue, you know. But anyway, I'm drying it, and I always dry between stages because it allows me to see like if I need to add more color, if I need to tone something down, but it also helps me to not get paint all over my hands as I'm moving between each stage. So as you can see, that clean line there, and then I'm gonna put another piece of tape on the top of that so that I can keep that same clean line when I begin to paint the actual ocean. We're going to be using 3 shades of blue for the ocean. We've got this dark navy color blue, we've got an ultramarine blue, and then we've got another lighter blue. I have the colors on the screen, obviously, because I never remember what colors these paints actually are. But we've got 3 different shades. Now, when you look at the ocean, when you look like towards the horizon line, it is actually dark, almost like black, okay? And so the further we get to the horizon line, the ocean is darker. So that's why I'm going in with this dark navy. I think the name for this is actually Admiral Blue. And then I'm going in with my second blue because we're getting closer to the shore. And so the water is a little bit lighter the closer you get. And then after this blue, of course, you can see I'm also blending. And after this blue, I'm going in with my lightest blue because this is the blue that actually touches the shoreline, or the color that shows up at the shoreline. And again, I am working those paints in to get the best blend possible of all 3 of those blues. My tape was actually coming up right there. I'm gonna have to fix that because it actually does seep under there a little bit, but that's no big deal. I always say with acrylic paints, if you mess something up, you can always cover it up. But yes, blending takes practice, and it's just a matter of just getting that paint down and working it through till you get the desired transition that you're looking for. All right, so I'm gonna dry it here with my heat tool before we peel that tape up. And I mentioned in a previous video that you have to be careful when you're using a lot of paint because it makes your the paper really wet. This is not painting paper. This paper in this Bible is thicker than paper that's in a normal Bible or a regular Bible. But if it gets wet, too wet, it is still vulnerable to tear. So you do have to be careful when you're using a lot of layers of paint. Covering up that blue paint that kind of seeped up into my sky right there over the horizon line. And the sun is actually going to be like painted over this little, piece right here. So you're really not going to be able to tell. But I wanted a nice clean line, and that's what I got. All right, so the next thing, well, I'm going to dry it, obviously. But after this, we are going to paint our sun using the white paint. So of course the sun is not white, okay? But if you have ever seen a sunrise on the ocean, when that sun first starts to come up, it is so bright that it appears white. And so we're going in with the white paint to create a half circle. Simple, easy half circle, using a steady hand to not mess up the horizon line. And that's basically it for the sun. I think I was just trying to get it dark so that the red wasn't seeping through that white or ghosting through the white paint. We're gonna do our clouds next. And when I first put this paint down, I wanted to try to use my finger, as you see here, to kind of smudge it out. But again, acrylic paint dries so fast on regular paper, so that was really, difficult to do. What I ended up doing, which you'll see in a moment, is I just ended up taking my paintbrush, dipping it in water, and just lifting the white paint off so that it was very, very thin. Because I didn't want big fluffy white clouds. I just wanted, like, light morning clouds. And so you'll see here in a little while how I lift some of that paint out of those clouds to make them very, very thin, so that you could almost kind of see the sky through the clouds. But I'm basically just tapping that paintbrush, kind of giving it some type of cloud-like shape or, cloud-like impression, I guess. And you can make it as cloudy or as not so cloudy as you want to. And this I found to be much like watercolor when it came to thinning out those clouds. When you want less color with watercolor, you just dip your brush in water and like thin out the paint, and you tap your paintbrush dry every time you go back in to lift that color up. Same idea here that I'm doing. I'm wetting my paintbrush, I am lifting that paint off, and then tapping my paper towel each time to tapping my paintbrush on the paper towel each time before I go back onto the cloud to get more color up, to lift that water up with the color, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense, but hopefully it does. Hopefully it does. And you can see here how that orange is showing up through that cloud. I'm gonna do a couple more of these just to fill in some of the dead space. All right, now we're going to paint the reflection of the sunlight in the water. This was super easy to do. All I'm doing is making little dashes on the surface of the water. Not too heavy, just very lightly. Now, also with the reflection of the water, you will notice even in the ripples of the waves, there are shadowy parts, like there are shadows in the water, in the ripples in the water. And so I'm making these ripples, these reflections, but then I'm gonna take each one of my colors, each one of my blues, that dark blue, the middle blue, and the light blue, and I'm gonna go back through these ripples and create some shadows. And I don't know that it really picks up that well on camera. Hopefully it does. I'm looking at my actual completed painting right now, and I mean, I can see them. So hopefully you guys will be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. I hope. Okay, I'm painting some more ripples. I'm sorry, more reflection. It's really hard to tell on camera, but I'm taking the blue colors and I'm going back over these ripples to paint the shadows in the water. Yeah, you can really tell when I use that dark blue. Yeah, you can really tell when I use the dark blue that I'm using here. See how it's darker and it looks like it's actually a shadow in the water? Because that's actually what the ocean, like, that's what it looks like. It's not all just like one shade of blue. It's these lights and darks and reflections, and all of those things come together. So we are drying it. And I'm gonna go back over the sun one more time just to make sure it is nice and opaque. Cleaning up that horizon line. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a sunrise on the ocean. I actually love the ocean, and every time I go to the ocean, I like to wake up early at like 6 a.m. or whenever the sun comes up just so I can watch the sunrise. But it literally looks like the sun is coming up out of the water. It is the most incredibly beautiful thing. Going back in with that dark color, toning down some of those reflections, and drying it one more time. And that's it. So we're going to do my favorite part, which is to peel up that tape, showcase our nice clean lines. Looks so good. I love it. And I did get some paint on the other side, but that's okay. Whatever I paint on that other side will actually cover that up. Look how pretty this is. And you can't see the shadows now in the ocean. But I'm going to underline my verse with my Pigma Micron pen. And this verse talks about basically what the Lord did for the Israelites in Egypt when he freed them from the Egyptians. It says, "Come and see what God has done, his awesome deeds for mankind. He turned the sea into dry land. They passed through the waters on foot. Come, let us rejoice in him. He rules forever by his power. His eyes watch the nations. Let not the rebellious rise up against him." And I don't know about you, but sometimes I have a hard time fathoming like what the ocean would look like separated into two parts, like dividing the whole ocean, right? But he did that. He did that for them. And they were able to escape from Pharaoh and the Egyptians so that they could be on their way to the promised land. Come and see what God has done, his awesome deeds for mankind. And that ain't the only thing God has done for mankind. Like, he's done a lot of other miraculous things, but this is certainly a big one. Not doing anything special with the lettering today, just lettering in, well, this isn't my regular cursive handwriting, but just lettering it very simple. I'm not going to go over it with faux calligraphy, just keeping it very simple this time. But that is basically it. I'm going to date the bottom because I always like to date my entries. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the tribe, turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything else I have coming up in the future. I love y'all.